Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. Intentional happiness is just something that I'm so passionate about and that I love learning about and talking about. And so yeah, this is one that I'm excited for. And being so passionate about trying to intentionally create happiness in my life is really a big reason that I even started this channel, which is wild to think that that was just 8 months ago. And now here I am at what I feel like is the happiest version of my adult self, like the happiest I've truly been in my adult life. And it feels really good to say that. And so I thought today I would go ahead and share with you 10 things that I feel like have made my life exponentially happier. And when I sit down and think of these things, I feel like the changes I'm gonna share really nicely fit into mindset changes and then lifestyle changes. And so that's how I want to share them with you today, just sharing which changes I feel like are a mindset shift versus a lifestyle shift. And I do just wanna say that this information, or like all of this, is coming from someone who is not just this baseline, happy-go-lucky, smiling all the time person, which I feel like isn't always obvious in my YouTube videos because I usually am smiling because I'm excited to make a video. But I am not smiling all of the time. Like that's just not me. And it definitely doesn't need to be in order to be happy. Like you don't need to be someone who just smiles all the time, but I say that to just let you know that these tips are coming from someone who has to work to be happy. I feel like happiness is a skill, and maybe it comes more innately to some of us. It's easier for some of us. And then for others of us, we have to really work at it. And I am others of us. So if that is you, I'm right there with you. And if I can transform my life and help head it in a direction of happiness, and I really say that intentionally, like, I'm a big believer that happiness is a direction, not a destination. It's not just this place we get to and just stay happy all the time. Sadness is a part of life. Negative emotions are a part of life. It comes with the territory of being a human on this earth, and that is okay. So I really feel like trying to head your life in a direction of happiness is something that's much more attainable. If I can do that for myself, then you absolutely can too. And I know that I've already done a lot of talking. Like I said, I could sit and talk about the science of happiness forever. It's just a fun thing to talk about for me. But I'm sure you want to hear what these things are. So let's go ahead and get into it. And let me tell you, what are the things that I feel like have helped make my life exponentially happier? I'm going to start right away with the thing I feel like is the most important step I took towards building a happier life, and that is just being intentional about it. Like I said, being happy is something that I've had to work at, and I don't feel like having to make a conscious effort to be happy is a bad thing at all. If anything, I think it's a good thing, and I think that it shows that you're someone who wants to grow and you want more for yourself. When it comes to me, I feel like a huge source of my unhappiness was how much of my time I was giving towards my job. And if I was someone who didn't mind giving all of my day towards my job, I didn't mind being stagnant in life, and if I just in general didn't want more for myself, then I would be really happy and life would be easy. But that is just not how it goes for me. But of course, the question still comes in and like, where do you start? Like, where can we start working towards this? There are probably so many different answers to that question and so many right ways to go about that. But for me, something that I feel like was really transformative and something that really changed the way I attacked trying to be a happier version of myself over the past year was doing this exercise. The exercise is called writing your own happy ending. So here's how you do this exercise. You are supposed to imagine that today is your last day on earth. And just think that if you were laying in your deathbed right now and you knew that you had no more days after today, what are the things that you will have wished that you spent more time on or just dedicated more of your life to? And then the idea is to take those things and start to allow them to drive your daily actions. And so the suggestion for that, and like how to make sure you're incorporating that into your daily life, is to create daily habits that you're gonna do for each of those things. Here's an example. When it comes to like things that you may wish you spent more time on, whether that be family, whether there's a business idea that you haven't pursued that you wish you will have done. For me, when I did this exercise, really only like 2 months into having started my channel, I think I did a video on this. It's maybe my 6th or 7th video. For me, something that I knew I wanted to spend more time on was YouTube. I was feeling like so much of my time was for work. That is like such a recurring theme in my life. I just don't want work to run my life. And I had just started this channel and I wanted to just dedicate more time to it. And so the daily habit that I created was just to make sure that I'm spending at least an hour a day put towards YouTube, whether I'm researching YouTube, whether I am making a video, planning content for the future, something. I wanted to be dedicating an hour of my life to it each day. So that is how the exercise goes. In all actuality, I really do feel like running myself through this changed my life. And it's such a simple exercise, but it really is so revealing because the things we dedicate our life to every day and the things we strive for, like, I don't know, going on vacation and buying nice clothes for ourselves, whatever it is that you really put effort into every day, it can be really revealing that those aren't really the things that you really value and that matter to you. Like if family is a huge value to you, and if you're laying on your deathbed thinking, wow, I wish I spent more time with my family, are you making sure you do that every day? Like, are you calling them? Are you setting up time to see them? Yeah, I think it's such a great exercise to run through. And if you do it, and if you come up with some habits, I would love to hear at least one of them in the comments. I am so clearly like just enthralled in the idea of becoming happier us's. And I love to hear other people's ideas for what they do to make themselves happier. So yeah, if you feel comfortable, definitely let me know a habit that you come up with. Okay, this next thing that I think can help make your life exponentially better is quitting your toxic job. I did this at the beginning of last year, so the beginning of 2024, and I'm so much better off for it. For a little bit of context, I'm a physical therapist, and right now the role that I have is a travel physical therapist. And before that, I was just working like a normal permanent position where I didn't travel from state to state every 3 months. And switching to travel PT has been like just the best decision for me. I am not a believer that your job needs to be the source of your happiness. But what I am a believer of is that anything in life, whether it is your job, whether it is a relationship, whatever, that is causing you an intense feeling of unhappiness is absolutely worth reevaluating and removing from your life. And I've talked about a lot in other videos, like what I didn't like about my old job and why I wanted to switch jobs. So I won't dive too deep into that, but to sum it up, I'm a person who likes to spend as much time as possible in life outside of work. And I also like to be paid a salary or like compensated in a way that helps me afford the lifestyle that I would want. Is that too much to ask? Why is that so hard to find? And my last job, I typed this up because I'm like, it is very important, the reason I didn't like this job, but it was so time consuming. Getting off was a huge hassle. And then I made like half of what I do right now. So, I mean, for many people, that's reason enough. But anyways, so yeah, like there were just so many negatives surrounding it, and I needed to get the heck up out of there. And obviously everyone watching this is not a physical therapist, so your answer is not just to go become a travel PT. But I do feel like for many people, their work is a large source of their unhappiness. I am not naive to the fact that quitting your job is no easy task. Like we all have financial burdens. We all need money. It is not easy to make this change all of the time. Switching jobs might come with a little bit of being uncomfortable, a little bit of unfamiliarity, and then it is just up to you to decide, is it worth it? Let it be known that I don't know if unfamiliarity is a word, but I use it all the time, so I'm gonna use it here. Another thing that I think is really important for all of us to do is choosing to be confident. And this is something that, talking about direction versus destination, I'm definitely on the direction of trying to be confident. I try, it's not that easy for me. And I have never really been a confident person. I could find confidence in athletics and academics. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I mean, I've been in sports since I was like 4 years old. Like my parents were always throwing me in sports. And then when it comes to academics, my parents also did not play about that, and they would like drill it down my throat. So always got straight A's. So those two things, academics and athletics, I was confident in. But when it came to like me, my innate confidence as a human being has always been lacking. And it's something that I really played up. Like I'm the person in the room who is downing themselves, who is saying their shortcomings before you can say them. And especially if I would start a new job, like I could not get the words new grad out of my mouth fast enough. Like, hi everyone, I just graduated. Don't expect a lot from me. I don't want to disappoint you. And I think that I just started to realize how much negative self-talk, like my low confidence was coming with, and the negative self-image that I was placing on myself. It's funny because I heard Mel Robbins talking about a version of this recently, and she was saying, why don't people pursue things that they want to do? For example, social media, starting a YouTube channel, things like that. And usually the reason is fear. And then she dug deeper and she was like, but what are you afraid of? Like, why is it scary to start a YouTube channel? So when you dig, the real reason is you're afraid of what other people are going to think of you. And that's kind of like what my lack of confidence was. You're not really afraid to start a YouTube channel. You're just afraid people are going to look and they're going to be like, oh, they're trying to start a YouTube channel. Okay. Or like, oh, their content is so cringe. Who cares? I mean, all of us care what other people think, right? But are you going to care so much that it is going to stop you from doing the things that you want to do? Are you going to care so much that it is going to have you talking down to yourself and convincing yourself you're less than and being this less than competent person? Is that worth it? Probably not. And when you're writing your happy ending in which you're sitting on your bed regretting or wishing you did more of, you're not going to be wishing you were less confident. Okay? So Confidence is key. Such a cliche saying, but like I could not resist it right now because it's so perfect for what we're talking about. Talking about social media kind of flows lovely into the next change that I feel like is really beneficial for helping make a happier life, which is finding a passion and dedicating time to it, like going for that passion, okay? For me, that passion was starting a YouTube channel. I have wanted to create content for a long time now, and it was just something that I really hadn't gone after. And starting this channel has been a rough but definitely rewarding journey. And I think it's been so rough because I'm somewhat of a perfectionist and I just want to get everything exactly right. And I feel like I just can't get social media just right. It's silly. I mean, I feel like there probably is no right. This is just my mindset that I'm working on overcoming. But yeah, I just find myself constantly comparing myself, and I have to remind myself that diving into the world of social media is not the easiest way to stop comparing yourself to others, right? So like I said, it's been rough and it's come with a lot of challenges. But that being said, I'm still so happy that I went after this. And whatever your passion is, whatever the thing is that you've been thinking about going after, I say this from the bottom of my heart. Like, I want you to look me in my eyes when I say this. Just freaking go after it. What is stopping you? Go do it. Coming from someone who's telling you that YouTube has been a rough journey, they went after their passion, it's been hard, and even still, I don't regret it. Because we don't regret the things that we do, we regret the things that we don't do. Next thing is living in the present. And I feel like this can be like a mindset or lifestyle change, but when I think of it, I think about it being a mindset change because I am such a planner and my mind is always living in the future. I'm a Virgo, and I hesitate to say that because I hate to bring signs into this because I also don't super heavy believe in all that sign stuff, but I resonate with my sign so much. Don't ask me about another sign. I don't know about anything other than Virgos, and I know Virgos are planners. All that to say, I'm constantly planning for my future because I think it can be such a great thing to be a planner and to be thinking about your future, except for when planning for tomorrow gets in the way of enjoying today. Because today and right now is really all that we have. Tomorrow isn't promised. We don't know what it's gonna look like. And I always joke that I make plans for future Kayla. If I don't have time to do something, I'm like, oh yeah, future Kayla can do that. And then I meet future Kayla and I become her, and she's busy. She has things to do too. And so she's thinking, oh, other future Kayla can do that. And the issue with that and always planning for future Kayla is that today's Kayla gets forgotten. When do we plan for her? I did hear on a podcast that later just becomes a synonym for never. And I think that is so true. I will go take that trip later. I'm too busy right now. I'll start content creating later. I'll call my mom later. And then when does later come? Often later comes never. Some things that have really helped me live in my present are trying to do gratitude journaling. I need to be better about that, but I know that when I can force myself to do it and take that time out of the day, it's so helpful to enjoy your present moment and just kind of forces you to recognize all the things you have to be grateful for. Also, anytime I'm out in nature, when I get to go just lay down at a park and read a book or not read a book and literally just freaking lay down at a park. I don't know if I'm weird for that. And just take in the outside world. That brings me so much joy. I feel like that's a form of mindfulness, just being able to sit and be. I love that. It really helps me enjoy my present. And staying on the vein of living in the present moment, I have learned that I will do nothing if I don't write it down or plan it out for myself to do in that moment. So I'm talking about time blocking. Time blocking my days has just skyrocketed my productivity, and it's really helped me feel like I'm getting things done during the day, which in turn has made me feel happier about the day. I use Google Calendar to do all of my time blocking. I know that I don't know what other apps there are. I mean, I know there's Notion, people use that. I don't know what your other options are, but I really feel like setting aside time to do certain things throughout the day helps me be productive, like I said, but then also helps show me realistically, what do I have time for today? I'm not gonna film 3 YouTube videos and go to work and do all the notes for my patients. Simply isn't gonna happen. Then if I actually plan out my time for what I'm gonna do, then I don't find myself disappointed at the end of the day when I've made this laundry list for myself and didn't even start to think about if I have time for it. Another thing I feel like we should all be doing is choosing experiences over accumulation. And I feel like this should be my slogan. I see creators who are so good at creating a brand for themselves. Zoe Pritchard, Carter Sullivan, Jenna Hong, love the brands they've created. And one day when I do a good job of making my own brand, it is gonna include this gosh darn slogan: experiences over accumulation. Something that has helped me with this a ton is doing travel physical therapy and having to move every 3 or 4 months. Because when you have to move and pick up all your stuff every 3 months, you really start to think, do I need this stuff? stuff? Like, could this go in the trash can because the car is full? And it's helped me realize how much stuff I have that like I don't really need, and also isn't really bringing me that much joy. And the truth is that stuff is fleeting, and experiences are usually much more enriching and fulfilling for our life. And since I have adopted this mindset, I really feel like I think about buying things differently. Like when I go to just make a one-off unnecessary purchase on some clothes, I think to myself, I'm like, how bad do I want this? And am I gonna want it that bad in 3 months? Because you only have to buy things so many times to just throw them away 3 months later to start being like, do I need this? Right? Because if I'm just gonna throw it away, this is a waste of my money. So that is my slogan in the making: experiences over accumulation. On the theme of not making purchases that we regret, a huge lifestyle change that I've made is just becoming more consistent with my budget. Doing my finances is another thing on this list, just like add it to the list of things that is not something that really came naturally to me always. I just feel like I didn't get a lot of education surrounding financial wellness and the things we need to do to lead a healthy and wealthy lifestyle. But yeah, I just didn't have that education, and I was not a big budgeter up until meeting my fiance Devin in college. And at that time, my dad would give me an allowance. I didn't have a job. This is like freshman year, okay? He'd give me like $200 a month or something like that. And at the end of every single month, that $200 was gone, like zero, okay? And I met Devin, and it'd be late in the month, and he'd be like, oh, do you want to go do something? And I'm like, do something with what money? And I was thinking to myself, how do you always have money? And that really just started me on the journey of trying to be more financially educated. And I started doing things like budgeting, but just like any other new habit that we create, like going to the gym, I really would start it and then fall off and start it and then fall off. And then I guess probably making this channel and starting to make budgeting videos really like whipped me into shape. And I was like, hey, if you're gonna make budgeting videos, maybe you keep up with your budget, you know? So yeah, over like the past 8 months or so, I've been much better about doing my budget. And I do feel like it's just made a happier me. It's helped me have more of those experiences I was talking about. So that way, if I think, oh, I wanna go to Niagara Falls next month or in 2 months, like it's something that I'm budgeting for rather than just thinking, oh, I want to go to Niagara Falls in 2 months. And then that time comes and it's like, have you saved money for this? No. Okay, next thing is definitely a mindset change. I am going to say that I really feel like learning to accept uncertainty is such a beneficial thing to do. I am 26. I don't know. Okay, we're going to pause on that. If you hear my neighbor's dog barking, he doesn't like me and he barks at me sometimes. And so we're gonna ignore him. But anyways, I'm 26. I don't know when or if I am going to have kids. I often don't know like what job I'm gonna have or if I'm gonna have a job when I want to until like 2 weeks before that job starts. That's just the nature of travel PT. And so I have really had to learn to accept uncertainty in life. And it wasn't necessarily an easy thing to do, but I also feel like this could be phrased as learning to relinquish control. We all want control over our lives. Like it's an innate desire. It makes sense to want that, but there are gonna be things in our life that we cannot control. We're gonna be sitting in traffic and the car in front of us is gonna choose not to go through that yellow light. And now we can't go through that yellow light. And now we're uncertain if we're gonna be late to class or the gym. And there's nothing we can do to change that. We can't control that car and we can't be certain if we're gonna make it where we're trying to go on time. Accepting that and accepting that there are gonna be moments that are uncertain and out of our control is so freeing and stress releasing, because what is the point of the stress we are putting ourselves through sitting in traffic? We cannot change it. So we might as well just accept it. And I really think that it will kind of like help some of the stressful parts of life melt away when we are able to do that. The absolute final point that I will make, and the last thing that I want to share with you, I do feel like this is mindset focused, is embracing change. I am just like the next person. Change is not easy for me. I like routine. I like predictability. I like to sit the same spot in class every day. And I like to park in the same parking spot at work every day. But what I've learned over the past year or so is that change is really the only method we have in order to achieve growth. Because like if we're going to grow and become better versions of us, then something has to change. Last year during the summer, I lived in Hawaii. And I know for people who don't know that, it's so awe-inducing. It's just like, oh, wow, you lived in Hawaii, right? And it is, I am so fortunate to have experienced that, but it was not at all what I expected, okay? I think Hawaii, I think palm trees, I think paradise, I think easy living. But my living situation was such a shock to me. I didn't have any AC at the house I was living in. My washer and dryer was outside. Hawaii is very known for their cockroaches. I had my neighbor coming up to me the first day I got there and like telling me, hey, if you see any fire ants, let me know. And none of this was something that I expected. So it was a ton of change and I felt so overwhelmed at first. And genuinely the first couple days I was like, I think I need to go home. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna tell them that like I cannot do this job, I cannot be here, and I'm gonna go home. And obviously, I'm so happy I didn't go home. Those were some of the best months of my life. I really enjoyed being in Hawaii. And if I hadn't embraced that change, then I'd just be sitting here telling the story about how I flew to Hawaii and then flew back home. And that would be a much more boring story. And I wouldn't have gotten to grow as a person as I did when I was there. So change is how we grow. I think it's so important to embrace change. And that is the final point that I have to share with you. So thank you so much for listening to those things that I had to share. I hope that something that I shared was helpful for you and like kind of resonated with you. Like I said, I mean, I just love talking about happiness and the science of it and the things that we can become a happier version of ourselves, because I just feel like so many of us are accepting a less than happy life and we feel like it's all that we're going to be able to achieve. Like I remember when I was in my job and before I made that switch, I was like, how am I ever going to switch? I just did school for 4 years. This is my job. Like you need to suck it up. And no, you do not need to suck it up. Okay. If anyone is telling you that you are unhappy and you just need to suck it up, then freaking tune them out and find a way to be a happier you. I hope that something I shared here can help with that. And thanks so much for watching. So as always, I will see you very, very soon in another video. Bye.